Hey guys, it's Jane. It's not Friday, it's Saturday morning, and it's raining and miserable, but I actually got a proper night's sleep last night pretty much, so I'm feeling upbeat. So let's talk about some books. The first thing I want to tell you about is Brother of the More Famous Jack by Barbara Trapido. This is a book that I got from my library, picked off of that list that I showed you last week from Slate magazine of the 81 funniest books written by living authors. This was one of the ones right up the top. It's recommended by Maria Semple, who started off the Daisy Chain. This is not a funny book. It's not a bad book. Parts of it are light-hearted, and there are moments that would go so far as witty, but it is not in any way, shape or form a funny book. About halfway through, I thought I wasn't going to be able to finish. We'd just gone through a terrible breakup, a very traumatic delivery, and then a cot death at 5 weeks old. A dead baby is not something you want smack in the middle of a funny book, and I defy anybody to show me a funny book that central action is around a dead baby. However, I did actually push on because despite the fact that my expectations were very, very, very undermined, it was still an interesting, well-written book. Brother of the More Famous Jack is kind of a memoir-esque thing. I mean, fiction, but it's written from the point of view of a female character who's looking back on her life from a fairly young age and through her interaction with a particular highly literate family. Her philosophy professor is the father of the family. She dates one of the sons and she ends up marrying, oh, sorry, I can't say that because spoilers. Anyway, it's what it is, but it's not funny. Speaking of books that did not live up to my expectations, I DNF'd a book this week as well, Under Wraps by Hannah Jayne. It was terrible, despite the fact that Jayne is one part of the author's name. It was terrible. I didn't get much further than 10%. Every male character that is introduced is described as if they're a slab of meat. It was just gross. Not what I was looking for at all. Okay, so from the sublime to the ridiculous, or however you want to do the segue, the funnest book that I read this week, after Brother of the More Famous Jack, I really needed a light read, and I turned to Summer Lightning by P.G. Wodehouse, and I was not disappointed. As I said last week, Wodehouse is one of my favourite ever authors. He's written very nearly 100 books. He's no longer with us, but there's lots of books out there. And so I went through my library to find one that I had not read. Summer Lightning filled this bill, and it was a delight. It is one of the Blanding Castle books, which is another one of his series. It's not Jeeves and Wooster, it's a different set of characters. Almost all of his books you can enjoy as standalones, but this one there is references and points to incidents that happen in a book called Something Fresh. So if you're one of the people who likes reading things in order, I would suggest reading Something Fresh before this one, but I'd not read this one before. So Summer Lightning has got young love not running smooth. It's got people pretending to be people that they're not. It has American heiresses and chorus girls and stealing a prize pig, and yeah, it's just glorious. So don't go and read Barbara Trapido if you want a funny book. Go and read Wodehouse. The other book that I finished this week was Snake Agent by Liz Williams. Now, I'm almost certainly have put the thumbnail of the cover up there, and you can agree with me that is a terrible cover. And there's a whole series of these at my library, and they all have similarly terrible covers. However, I always like books that there's a series that I can read because I love knowing there's another one, and my library has many of these. And this happens to be a crossover between two of my favourite genres. So it's a science fiction crime story is what the blurb told me. And I thought, I'm just going to give it a try. And it was really, really much better than that cover would suggest. It's a story set in a future Singapore-ish city. It's Singapore 3, which seems to be like a satellite Singapore state. In this world, there has been some negotiations between the world of Earth and the world beyond the grave. So when you die, you actually have to get a visa through a particular agency, and you go through the underworld either to heaven or hell. But it's not the kind of Western Judeo-Christian heaven or hell. It's a very Eastern iteration of heaven and hell. And our central character is a Singaporean police detective. His special kind of thing is that he has dealings with the underworld, and in particular with hell. Throughout most of the running this book, he is teamed up with a demon who is from their kind of mirror version of the police. And there is a problem that's going on. Young women who are being killed and their ghosts being stolen. So they die, but they don't turn up on the ledger of either heaven or hell. And somebody is using their spirits to some end. And it all sounds a bit overly complex, but it was really well written and very engaging. So that's a recommendation. If it sounds like something you could be interested in, ignore the fact that it has a terrible cover and give it a try. I have borrowed 2 more books from the library to read. One is another Wodehouse. It's Hot Water, again, one that I've not read. This is not one of his series. This is a standalone book. It's set in France, so that'll be interesting. And then this one, which was a complete cover pick, Jesus and the Eightfold Path by Lavie, Tidhar. It's a thought experiment about the 3 wise men from the East. What if they happen to be the 3 companions of Buddha, like from the monkey TV show of my youth, Pigsy and Monkey and Sandy? Is he the 3rd one? Anyway, it's supposedly this gonzo East-West crossover life of Jesus thing, and I thought, surely that has got to be worth a chuckle, if nothing else. So that's what I've got ready to read this week. Finally, before I go, I still haven't got the replies to comments working on YouTube, and I'm hopeful now that I've had a full night's sleep, I might have some mental energy to try and get to the bottom of it. I'm sorry. Let's see if we can get that done this week. But somebody commented on my video last week that that the whole idea of doing funny books was, a really good one, and that maybe we should do a month, like Own Voices October or Nonfiction November. There's all these months that BookTube sponsors. We should do one for funny books. I did a poll on Twitter. I got a few responses. It was generally positive. And so I'm going to put this here in my video. If we were going to do this, if there's anybody who would be interested in joining in, like co-sponsoring such an event, let me know. If there's enough interest, if there are 2 or 3 people who would like to go in with it, with me, then we'll get together and talk and maybe launch something coming up. But that's it for me. I hope you're all well. I think the rain has stopped, so that's a good omen. I'd love to hear what you're up to, and I'll talk to you later. Bye.